Hello everyone, I am Shalini Sinanan and welcome today to this very important lesson on punctuation and capitalization, where I'll go through the paces on how you can use punctuation and capitalization in your writing in a precise way and make you a confident writer. So by the end of the lesson, you will appreciate the use of punctuation marks, capital letters in sentences, and understand their purpose in communicating messages accurately. And when we get into the lesson, you'll understand why I'm saying this. Use punctuation marks and/or capital letters appropriately and accurately in your sentences. And this is what we want from you at the end of the day. So first, we look at punctuation end marks. The full stop. Everyone knows the full stop. But when is it used accurately? And do you know how to use it accurately? The full stop is also called a period. It is used at the end of a complete or declarative sentence. What is a complete or declarative sentence? Do you know what is a complete sentence? The birds flew away. Yes or no? Let's look at some examples. Because of the traffic on the highway. Do you think that's a declarative sentence? Is it making complete sense? What's happening on the highway? Why is it happening on the highway? Do we start a sentence with because? The principal arrived late because of traffic on the highway. Now this sentence makes complete sense. It has a subject, it has an object, it has a verb, and it makes complete sense. Because sometimes you have sentences that have all three and they don't make sense. Your sentence must make sense at the end of the day. And at the end of this sentence that makes sense, you put your full stop or period. Full stops are also used in abbreviations. Mr., Dr., AM, PM. Let's look at some examples. Mr. David is a caring and excellent teacher in my school. Mr. has a period after the R. Look at it carefully. Our family goes to Dr. Harry's office for regular checkups. Doctor has a period after the R. At school, we take a fun break at 10 a.m. daily. I'm sure everyone looks forward to that in the morning. A, full stop, M, full stop. After school, we do our homework, then go outside to play until 5:45 p.m. for those of you who have regular schedules at home. So P dot M dot. Notice where the period is placed in each of the sentences. And at the end of each sentence, there is also a full stop. Do you have an idea now exactly where you're using your full stop or period? Let's go to the question mark. Now, in the previous lesson, I told you that the full stop is used at the end of a declarative sentence, a sentence that makes complete sense. A question mark, however, is used at the end of interrogative sentences. Interrogative sentences are sentences that ask questions. Who, what, why, when, where, whom. Example, do you have any coins? Will you be having chocolate cake for dessert? How many children will be going on the field trip? Look at the formation of the question mark at the end of the sentence. Some of us have a habit of going over or under the blue line. Remember, the question mark must take up the space of the two blue lines in your writing. The exclamation mark, and this one is one you can have fun with. It's a mark that you can enjoy, and once you understand how to use it in your writing, you'll make your readers really enjoy what you have to say. The exclamation mark is used to show strong feelings such as surprise, anger, joy, sadness, pain. Let's look at some examples. Settle down, shouted the coach to the football team. Ouch, groaned the injured athlete. Don't touch, warned the mother to the toddler. Wait, exclaimed the man as the bus started driving away. Notice how the exclamation mark is used in these sentences. After settle down, the mark is used. After ouch, the mark is used. After don't touch, the mark is used. After wait, the mark is used. In a later lesson, we'll show you how the mark is used with respect to the exclamation marks that are used with the words. But for now, we want you to understand that the exclamation mark is used when we show strong feelings. And when you show strong feelings in your writing, people understand what you're trying to say in a much better way. So use that exclamation mark when you can. Let's look at some other punctuation marks besides the ones that we've looked at already. Here we have two. Look at them carefully. Do you know what they are? One is called a comma and one is called a colon. Now, previously when we looked at the full stop, I neglected to tell you that when we are reading, the full stop is used for a pause. It's a much longer pause than the pause we use when we use a comma or the pause when we use a colon. So these marks, the comma and the colon, are kind of related to the full stop. They're a family to the full stop. They are also pause marks. Let's look at the use of the comma. This one we all know. When we separate items in a series, we put commas to show the separation of the words. Example, here are the carrots, cucumbers, pears, and apples. At the end of the sentence, before the last item, we put an and. Previous to that, you see the commas on carrots and cucumbers. We use commas after nouns of direct address. What do I mean by that? Let's look at this example first. Class, take out your books. The comma is after the noun class, and I am directly addressing the class. So sometimes you might hear your mom say, children, let's go downstairs and have dinner. Or father, can I have an ice cream cone this evening? So after a noun of direct address, we put a comma. We use commas after nouns in apposition. What do we mean by nouns in apposition? Nouns in apposition simply mean nouns that are side by side, a noun or a noun phrase. And these nouns identify each other. For example, my aunt, an experienced teacher, gives free lessons on Saturdays. So my aunt, comma, an experienced teacher, comma, these are two nouns in apposition, and they identify each other. My aunt, who's an experienced teacher. So you might hear other examples, like my father, the maxi driver, is always on the road all day. Or our doctor, Mr. Smith, has very good bedside manners. And these are other examples of nouns in apposition. I hope that you really enjoyed this one on commas and understanding how commas are used correctly in your writing. Commas save lives. How can a comma save your life? Let's look at this. Let's place the comma in the following sentence and save Grandpa's life. Let's eat Grandpa. Where goes the comma? Let's eat Grandpa. Do you know the rule in using the comma here? Yes, it's using a comma after a direct noun. So we have let's eat and a direct address. Let's eat Grandpa. In the other way around, it could read Grandpa, let's eat. So you're addressing Grandpa and you're telling him, let's eat. But if you did not have the comma, then you and Grandpa would be in trouble. Let's see how commas can save our lives again. Place a comma in the following sentence and save the dogs and the children. So let's see where the comma goes. I like cooking, dogs, and children. So we have commas in a series, after words in a series, and we also have the comma after cooking, not after dogs. What do we have after dogs? We have the word and. So here, as I said before, we are using the commas to separate items in a series. Let's read this sentence. Learn how to cut, marinate, and cook friends. So are you going to cut, marinate, and cook your friends? I don't think so. Where do you think the commas are going? And, important also, what do you think is the rule behind using the commas? Because once you know the rule, you know exactly where to put your commas whenever you're writing. Learn how to cut, comma, marinate and cook friends. So here we have the two rules in action. Use commas for nouns of direct address, the friends you're directly addressing, and using commas to separate items in a series, to cut, marinate, and cook. So know when to use your commas, whether it's items in a series or you're directly addressing someone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for looking on. I hope you enjoyed. Looking forward to your next lesson. Hello everyone, I am Shalini Sinanan and welcome today to this very important lesson on punctuation and capitalization, where I'll go through the paces on how you can use punctuation and capitalization in your writing in a precise way and make you a confident writer. Let's look at the other pause punctuation, which is the colon. The colon is very important. You might not know this, but the colon is very important, just like all the other punctuation marks. The colon is used to introduce examples, explanations, or details after an independent clause. So, the structure of the colon is, we first have our independent clause, we have our colon, and then we have the example, the explanation, or the detail. Let's look at some examples so you will understand what we mean by independent clause, the colon, and what the colon does for the independent clause. Rapid urbanization has led to multiple problems, colon, air pollution, congestion, and a shortage of affordable housing for families. So here we have the clause, rapid urbanization has led to multiple problems. What are these multiple problems? The list is air pollution, congestion, and a shortage of affordable housing for families. So the clause before the colon mentions that there are multiple problems due to urbanization. And the clause after the colon explains what the multiple problems are. Let's look at another example. I can promise you one thing, colon. I will be here for you if you need me. The clause before the colon expresses a promise, and the clause after the colon explains the promise. All right? So know when to use your colon and know that it's very important. It's also used as a pause mark, and it's just as important as your comma and your full stop. So here's another example of how to know when you're using your colon correctly, because you must be able to know the rule as well as know when to use it. And the rule is knowing when to use it. So here are some things that you should remember. If you have used your colon between the clause and something that explains something, and you know the colon is going there, if you erase your colon and you put in the words that is, so for instance, I promise you one thing, that is, I will be here for you if you need me. You know that you have used your colon correctly because the sentence makes sense. When using the colon in a list, if the phrase, the following can be used, then the use of the colon is correct. Rapid urbanization has led to multiple problems of the following: air pollution, congestion, and a shortage of affordable housing for families. So now you know that you have used your colon correctly. Remember that the colon comes at the end of an independent clause. Let's look at the apostrophe, another punctuation mark that is fun to use. The apostrophe is used in contractions. They are used in contractions to replace a missing letter. Example, he does not enjoy eating ripe pawpaw. In the contraction, we have, he doesn't enjoy eating ripe pawpaw. The verb doesn't expands to does not, and the apostrophe replaces the O in the word not. So you will know lots of contractions that you have learned in school. Wasn't, shouldn't, couldn't. Let's look at some other punctuation marks. With the apostrophe, another job that it has that's really important is that the apostrophe is used to show possession. Jason's blue shirt is his favorite item of clothing. The apostrophe S indicates that the shirt belongs to Jason. And in your lessons in class, you will do lots of examples where the apostrophe is used to show possession. Not only Jason's blue shirt, but you have the cat's tail, the boy's pen, the girl's book bag, the lady's handbag, the man's shirt. So many different ways of showing that the apostrophe is used to show possession, but you have to know when to use it, and you also have to know when it's being used to show possession. Let's look at quotation marks. This one is my personal favorite. Once you understand how to use quotation marks, then your writing takes life. It takes a life of its own, and you yourself become more confident once you know how exactly to use quotation marks in your writing. Then your reader will know exactly what you're trying to say, and you make your work more interesting for them to read. Quotation mark shows the actual words of a speaker. Do you read cartoons? In cartoon novels, we see people using quotation marks, but they are written in bubbles like this, as you see on the screen. So, did you bring your lunch? Says one speaker. Of course I did. But in your own writing, you can't write in bubbles. You have to use quotation marks. Yes. Did you bring your lunch? Of course I did. So notice the quotation mark before the spoken word and after the punctuation mark at the end. In did you bring your lunch? And of course I did, before the spoken word and after the exclamation mark at the end. Let's look and see more carefully how quotation marks are used. Now, as I said, quotation marks show the actual words of a speaker. If the words of the speaker are within the sentence, the open quotation starts after the comma and ends after the final punctuation mark. Let's look at this example. Valmiki asked, comma, did you go to school today? Notice how the quotation mark started after the comma and ended at the end of the punctuation mark at the end, which is the question mark. Also, I want you to take notice that we began direct speech, although in the middle of a sentence, with a capital letter. If the actual words of the speaker begin the sentence, then the sentence starts with the open quotation marks. Example, my teacher has a shiny new blue truck, shouted my friend Sherry. So the spoken word is actually at the beginning of the sentence, and my teacher has a shiny new blue truck are the spoken words. So we have the quotation opening before my and at the end of the direct quotation after the punctuation mark, which is after the exclamation mark, shouted my friend Sherry. Quotation marks are used in titles of movies and books. So, some of you might have this as your favorite film. Avengers Endgame broke numerous box office records. So Avengers Endgame is the name of a movie, so we enclose it in quotation marks. It's the title of a movie. The Chronicles of Narnia series is popular among young readers. Chronicles of Narnia is the title of a book series lots of young readers love. And it's a title, so it has to be enclosed in quotation marks. Now we move on to capitalization rules. I know you're thinking I'm going to share out some mints, maybe after the class. But mints is actually a mnemonic that we can use to remember how to capitalize. What's a mnemonic? Well, it's a group of letters that we put together to form a word that makes it easier to remember things. So, M-I-N-T-S, what does it mean besides the sweet? Let's see. To begin months of the year, days of the week, and holidays too. That's what the M stands for. Months of the year, holidays, days of the week as well. So, for the example, rain fell heavily last November. As we know, November is the name of a month, so we must begin with a capital letter. Republic Day is celebrated on September 24th in Trinidad and Tobago. Republic Day is the name of a national holiday, so we must put it in capital letters. Practice will take place this Saturday at 9 a.m. Saturday, as you know, is the day of a week, so we must give it importance by starting it with a capital letter. So understand the M. The M in mints starts for months of the year, days of the week, and holidays too. The I in mints stands for the personal pronoun I. Even if it is in the middle of a sentence, the personal pronoun I is written as a capital letter. I enjoy hiking to Maracas during my vacation, and that's a lovely thing to do. Every day, Shanti and I sit together in class. So remember, whenever you're talking about yourself, the personal pronoun I is written as a capital I. The N in MIN stands for the names of specific people and places. Example: Harry is currently residing in the United States. H, Harry is someone's name. United States, the name of a country. Teddy, our dog, likes to chew on old slippers. Teddy, the name of the dog, a specific name given to the dog. Can you take me to Frederick Street? Frederick Street, the name of a street. The F and the S has to be capitalized. The T in mints stands for titles. Titles of books, television shows, and movies. Let's look at these examples. Chantal enjoyed reading Matilda for the second time. So, Matilda is the name of a famous book written by Roald Dahl, and you should get all of Roald Dahl's book, I might add. Anyways, Matilda is the name of a book, so it's written with a capital M. Scooby-Doo is my son's favorite cartoon, so Scooby-Doo is the name of a show, so we put it in capital letters as well. The beginning letters start with a capital letter. Black Panther 2 is scheduled for release in 2022. Black Panther 2 is a movie, so it has to be written in capital letters. The S in mints mean we use capital letters at the start of a sentence. So this one is variably easy. You learned this since infant 1. Whenever you start a sentence, remember it starts with a capital letter. My father is an accomplished musician. My starts with a capital M. Every morning, Randall drinks a cup of coffee and reads the news online. Every starts with a capital E. Tomorrow, I plan to go to the gym. Tomorrow starts with a capital T. So you got all your mints there? Remember, proper punctuation and capitalization make your writing easier to read. And we can't say this often enough. Revise your notes that you have on punctuation and do as many exercises as you can. You have to love to do it and do it all the time in order to do it right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for looking on. I hope you enjoyed. Looking forward to your next lesson.